Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Teresa and today I'm going to be doing the Muppets Book Tag. I was tagged by Kelly from Kelly Reads a Lot, so thank you so much, Kelly, for tagging me. I am sorry it's taken me a while to get to this, but I am excited. I love the Muppets. I have grown up on Muppets Christmas Carol and Muppets Treasure Island. Those are like my movies that I can like quote by heart. I never really watched the Muppets show much growing up, or even now, really. But I've always loved those two Muppet movies, and I just love the Muppets in general. Like, they're so fun. So I'm excited to do this tag. I will say this definitely took a while for me to get my head around everything and try to figure out some of these, because some of these were difficult questions for me. Some of them I'm like, oh, automatically no, and other ones I'm like having to look through my read books and be like, what the heck? But let's just get into this tag. Number one is Kermit, and that is name a book with a great leader. And this is probably gonna be pretty cliche. I'm sure a lot of people will say this, but Stormlight Archives. Specifically The Way of Kings and Kaladin. I just read The Way of Kings for the first time in March. Loved it so much. Have not yet continued in the series, but like I'm itching to get back into that world. I very much enjoyed it, and Cal is such a born leader. Like he's so good, and he cares so much about his men, and he's just like a great person altogether. So yeah, I would say Way of Kings 100% has a book with a great leader. Number two is Fozzie Bear. Name a book that makes you laugh. For that one, I'm going with A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Seals. This book, I'm not joking, you guys, from the first chapter, I was physically laughing out loud. This is the most ridiculous book, but in the best way. Truly, within the first few pages, not even the first few the first chapter, but the first few pages, I was physically laughing out loud. This book cracked me up so much. This is a spoof on a Regency era. It also is a bit of a Jane Austen, Sherlock Holmes type of situation. We have our main character, Beatrice. She has never fit the definition of a true lady, at least not according to the strict code of conduct that reigns in Shropshire, her small English township. So as a wealthy bachelor drops dead at a ball, a young lady takes on the improper role of detective in this action-packed debut comedy of manners and murders. And so our main character is obsessed with true crime. Like, she wants to be a detective, but that is not how ladies should act. You know, ladies need to do needlework, and ladies need to learn how to take care of their men. I don't know what else they have to do back in the day. Dressed properly, and musical ability, artwork, all that kind of stuff. I was gonna say cook, but like here they would have had cooks for them. But she just wants to learn about true crime. She just wants to read newspaper and detective stories. So she goes to a ball. She's forced to go to this ball, and someone dies. And so she kind of teams up with, I believe there is an actual detective that comes along. He is a bit of like a Sherlock Holmes type character. I would say this is definitely a spoof specifically on Pride and Prejudice. Like, it's not a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but you can tell that this has a lot of leanings or a lot of inspiration from Pride and Prejudice. And it has radioactive frogs. I mean, look at this cover. Like, this cover is just, they live in swamp? There we go. Swampshire. I mean, come on. It's so funny. And just, it was a debut too. And I was like, this is freaking brilliant. So if you have not read this yet, I highly recommend it. It's just a spoof on historical, like Jane Austen Regency era with a mystery, a murder mystery. It's so good. Number three is Animal. And that is name a book that is unpredictable. So I was having to try and like rack my brain of feeling like, I know I've read books that are unpredictable. I know I have. But you know, when you like try to think of something in the moment, just everything is just like, your brain just empties out of everything it's ever known. So I had to search for a while, and the one I came up with is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. This book took me on a ride, you guys. This is following a woman who discovers that this very popular podcast host happens to be her birthday twin. So it's like they're born the same day, same time, I think, or right around the same time, same hospitals, like birthday twins, you know? And this woman kind of convinces this podcast host to do an episode on her and them being birthday twins. But we slowly discover that things might not be so great within this woman's home. She's married, she has a couple kids. And as she is telling her story to the podcast host, we get both points of view. They seem to get deeper and deeper enmeshed into the bad things that are happening in this woman's life, and they develop a very toxic, unhealthy friendship. And the ending is so wild. It just, I mean, like the book says, none of this is true. And so throughout the story, you've no idea what's true, what's not true. And we're trying to see from both point of views and like decipher, okay, is this really what's happening? Is this woman telling the truth that her husband's abusive and like, it's crazy. It's so good. I read it earlier this year. I believe it also in March. I read a lot of good books in March. I think March is probably my best reading month as far as the most 5 stars. But yeah, read it in March and loved it. Absolutely loved it. Now I need to go pick up more Lisa Jewell because this is my first Lisa Jewell book. As a avid thriller reader, you would think I've read more by her, but I loved it. If you are a thriller fan, this one is twisty and good. And it does have like podcast elements. So the audiobook I listened to, it does kind of have like the sounds of like the podcast and different voice casts and actors and stuff. And definitely kept me on my toes, definitely kept me wondering throughout the entire book what was going on, and did not predict the ending in any way, shape, or form. So then we have number 4, Statler and Waldorf? I can't say that. Those are the old guys that always like laugh at everybody. Name a book that had to win you over. And I would say Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I gave this a 5 star, but it was like a 3 star until almost the end of the book. I was really not vibing with this. I was just like, I don't know. I didn't get it. I wasn't too happy about the fact that there was an extramarital affair in here. But the end of this book was so absolutely wild. I guess this could also be an unpredictable one because the end of this book was so wild and so out of left field. I mean, it's not though. Like, I'm sure if I reread it, I'd be able to catch all the little hints. But at the moment, it was so just like mind-boggling to me that I was like, this cannot be real. I gave it 5 stars. And then I made my brother read it. And I asked him, he gave it back to me. I'm like, oh, so did you read it? He just goes, I hate you. I hate you. So I was like, right? It's so good. It's so good and so twisty. So we were kind of like going off, you know, back and forth with each other for a bit, talking about the end of this book. Oh my gosh, it's wild. And then they made a TV show. I think it's on Netflix, has a TV adaptation of this. I think it's like a 1 season, you know, whatever that they do. And I watched it and actually really, really enjoyed it. I will say, for a trigger in here, I mean, there's a lot of triggering things in here, but my personal trigger is pet death. There is pet death in here. In the TV show, they skipped that part, which I was very grateful for. But I think the TV show made it fairly true to life. I mean, they can't put everything in, especially if it's only 1 season. But I do think that they did a good job. So if you maybe don't want to read this book due to like content warnings or whatever, I think the TV show, it obviously doesn't go in as in-depth as the book does on certain topics. I thought it was fairly good, but the ending, dude, and the ending in the book, the ending in the show is the same as the ending in the book. So I definitely appreciated that one. But what is this about? So Josh Malerman, the author of Bird Box, says, a modern love triangle with so many mind screws, you start questioning if maybe this particular triangle has more than 3 points. A masterclass in juggling moods and the 2 sides of every story. And wow, that ending. Yes, wow, that ending. So we are following a woman who is a single mom, and her friend convinces her to go out and try and date. And so she meets this guy, they have a great connection, and they kiss, and they're like, you know, she's really just like, oh my gosh, I'm really falling for this dude. The next day, she shows up at work, and guess what? He's her new boss. So obviously there are tensions there. Not only is he her new boss, he introduces himself, he shows up at her work with his wife. So, you know, she's not too happy, our main character, about this situation here. So it's Louise is our main character, and then David and Adele are the husband and wife. They seem to have this picturesque, perfect relationship. Adele is like the best wife ever. She's just this perfect woman. Yet we start to see that there are maybe some cracks in the veneer of this relationship, and David and Louise start to have, is it Louise? Did I say that? Yeah. Start to have an affair, and which, like I said, was the part that I really didn't like. I hate infidelity, and I don't like it in my stories, and I only am really okay with it in the situations of where like, oh, my husband cheated on me, so now we're gonna like him and, you know, goodbye Earl type of situation, you know? But in here, it didn't, like, they kept talking about how they shouldn't, and it's not fair to Adele and da-da-da-da, because Louise kind of inserts herself into Adele's life and becomes friends with Adele. So, you know, it gets real twisted real fast. And like I said, through most of this book, I was just like, ugh, I didn't like it. I didn't like the character dynamics, the way they were acting to each other. We see that David might not be the perfect husband to Adele, who is the perfect wife. So we think, you know, there's a lot of stuff in here that we question. Louise has a kid and she's dealing with like being a single mom and all of this stuff. Like, it's just wild. It's so twisty and so crazy. And the ending, there's like multiple twists in this book, okay? Multiple. Because something happened and I was like, that's crazy. And then something else happened and I'm like, that's even more crazy. So I do recommend this if you are a thriller reader and you have not read this yet. I do recommend this. Give it a shot, even if you're not a biggest fan of it. Wait till that ending and then judge it, okay? Because like I said, this one won me over. The ending, 5 stars. I've never done that, ever. I've never had a book be a 3-star and the ending win me over to a 5. So this one, yeah, wild. So we're on to number 5, which is Ernie. Name a character that is innocent or naive or bold. And the character I'm going to name is a name that I can't remember, guys. I can't remember. I literally just read this book and I cannot remember her name. It's eating at my brain. But she is from the Fossil Hunter by, I keep saying T, but then Leandra, when I was on Friends with her, I wasn't on Friends with her, I was watching her Friends. She said Tia. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably correct. It's Tia Cooper. And this is a story, it's a dual timeline. And so the character that I'm talking about is a young girl that we're following. Oh my gosh, was her name like Maisie or Millie? There we go, Millie. Her name is Millie. So Millie, she is such a sweet, sweet character. She isn't naive per se, but she's very innocent. And we're following 2 separate timelines. This takes place in turn of the century Australia, right around World War I. We have like the 1800s, late 1800s, and then quite a few, like 20 or so, 30, 60, whatever, years later in the early 1900s. And we have 2 points of view. The past point of view is where Millie is in, and she is a young girl that is an orphan, basically, and she goes to stay with this woman who is a friend of her caretaker's, a friend of her caretaker, there we go. And they hunt for fossils, and she's very much teased by the other girls. There's like a group of girls that go, and very naive in the sense of like she believes in dragons, and she thinks that these fossils are dragon scales, and she's such a sweet character. Like, my heart went out to her because of everything that she had to go through. Like, she's gone through some really rough stuff in her life. And she's so sweet and so, again, not really naive because she has a lot of, bad experiences from the world, you know? It's like, she's not that way, but she's innocent. I don't know. I loved her so much. And this is basically, we're following a paleontologist, or not a paleontologist, but just a fossil hunter from the past. And then we go forward the 1919, I think it is right after the World War, and our character we're following she was an ambulance driver during the war, and she came home to Australia and is trying to find out what happened to the paleontologist lady that lived there before, and she's trying to find her story and find some fossils because her brothers who passed in the war had a very really big connection with this place. So anyways, I know I'm not doing it really good justice explaining what it's about, but it was a very, very good book. Historical fiction with a light mystery, I would say. And it was really cool because it talks about the early years of paleontology, like before it became a thing with like Mary Anning when she was, or was it Anning? The first like female paleontologist. It's really cool. So I do recommend if you like historical fiction, you should check this one out. But yes, Millie was such a sweet and like innocent character. Okay, moving on. I was not expecting this video to take as long as it's taking, but these are some really good books. So we have Gonzo the Great. Name a book that defies a simple genre definitions. And I have the perfect one for this. That is Showdown by Ted Dekker. This is my favorite book of all time, and I never know how to pitch this. I've reread it so many times. It is shelved under fiction, general, suspense, okay? It's Christian, so religious fiction. It's horror, it's suspense, it's thriller, it's mystery, it's paranormal, sci-fi. There's so many things in here. Like, it's just like, it's not just suspense, okay? It's so much more than that. I never even know how to tell you what this book is about because it's such a strange book. And this book will not work for most people, probably. I can definitely see, like, where people will be like, yeah, that's not for me. But this book just, like, it really helped me understand something in my personal faith journey when I read this book. Like, at the time I read this book, it was the book I needed at the time. You know what I mean? Like, it was the right book, right place type of thing. And it will forever hold a special place in my heart for that. I'm just gonna read you the synopsis here because I can never tell like how to say it. Okay, welcome to paradise where your wildest dreams might be your worst nightmare. Good and evil often collide in epic battles on unseen planes that seem far removed. But today the same battle comes to town in one of the most visceral and personal stories yet penned by Ted Dekker. It all begins with the sound of lone footsteps clacking down the backdrop on a hot, lazy summer afternoon. The black-cloaked man arrives at the sleepy town of Paradise and manages to become the talk of the town within the hour. Bearing the power to grant any unfulfilled dream, he is irresistible. Seems like bliss, but is it? Or is all hell about to break loose in Paradise? Enter the ultimate showdown of good versus evil in this bold new thriller from the mind of Ted Dekker. And our main guy calls himself Mercevious Black. And there's like a little script here. It says, born of black and white, eaten with worms, I'm a saint, I'm a sinner, a siren of the word, the circle knows me, the rest just wanna trip on grape juice, baby. Showdown at midnight. Yeah. Defies genre. It says thriller. It says suspense. But it's so much more than that. And yet not like I don't know how I don't know, but it's great. I love it. It's my favorite book. I recommend it, but like I know it's not for everybody. Then we have number 7, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. I gotta be honest, I don't think I know this character. I mean, I might know them if I saw their face, like, or their Muppet, but I don't think I know them just by name. But anyways, it is name a book with a great concept. So the book I'm gonna use for that is Nightshade by Angela Kramer. I have read this. I gave this a 3.25. I battled with this because I was debating rating this like a 2 something. It got a 3.25 in the end, but there were parts of this book that were definitely like a 1. The concept, absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. It's about an alpha werewolf, a female alpha werewolf, right? Those don't exist. And basically our female alpha, she risks her life to save this boy, revealing who she is, and like that's a no-no. And then the next day the boy shows up in her town or in her school, and she's like, oh no, I'm in trouble. And it says that he returned challenging her destiny as an alpha wolf, leaving her doubting her past and fearing her. It's very much paranormal YA romance. I was hoping it was going to be along the lines of like Twilight, but more focused on werewolves than vampires. There was so much sexual stuff in this book, like not like outright sex, but just really, 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 the author, you could tell, like wanted to write erotica and like had to restrain herself because this is a young adult book. She does go on, like for later books in this series are adult erotica. So, like, I'm like, then just write that. If that's what you want to write, then just write it. Like, I don't know. It really bothered me. I have a vlog where I vlogged about this. It's not posted yet. I haven't even edited it yet, to be honest. Someday it'll see the light of day. But I rant about this because part of this is so good. And I was so intrigued and just like eating it up. you know? As I love werewolves. I've always been a werewolf fan. I was a Jacob stan, 100%. So, you know, werewolves are my thing. And a female werewolf, like, come on. A female alpha. Like, that doesn't exist in werewolf lore, right? It says she can control her pack, but not her heart. And so I just thought the concept of that is so good. And we're dealing with like magic, and these werewolves are basically having to defend this town. And they're like these higher beings that kind of like the werewolves kind of work for. And they have to like fight against their enemies type of situation. So I mean, the whole concept is amazing. And parts of this book were so, so good. But there were times in this book where there's a love triangle, for one, which I'm never the hugest fan of. And for two, one of the boys in the love triangle very much pushed consent. There was a lot of times that he did things to our main character without her consent. Even after she specifically told him no, he still did it anyways. And it really pissed me off. It made me mad. Like, look, if you're an adult reading a dark romance and that's non-consent, whatever, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But in a YA book, okay, and this was written in 2010, I believe. So, you know, I gotta give it a little bit of grace for that because it was written a while ago. Yeah, 2010. But even still, I don't think there's ever okay to showcase that kind of behavior and not show it as wrong. I just don't like it. I didn't like it at all. But the other parts of this book were so good. I was so mad. So great concept. Execution didn't really work for me. 3.25. I will continue the series because I do want to know what happens next. But I'm going to be slogging through it because there's so much content in here that I was not okay with. Number 8 is Dr. Teeth. Name a character that lights up the scene and makes you smile. So I am picking a character from The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. And the character in here is Eliza. She is a 12-year-old girl, and she won my heart. Like, seriously, I could say one of my favorite characters of all time. And she is the apprentice, kind of I wouldn't say reluctant, because she's not reluctant, but the apothecary is reluctant to take her on as an apprentice. She kind of becomes the apprentice to an apothecary. This is a dual timeline, forgotten history, a secret network of women, a legacy of power and revenge. Welcome to the Lost Apothecary. So in the past, it's back in the day where women didn't really have the rights to do anything. You know, they couldn't divorce their husbands or leave if they were being abused, whatever. Not that like I'm pro-divorce, but in certain situations, you know, they had no recourse. Like, men could just do whatever they wanted to them, which was not okay either. And so they would get the help of this apothecary who would help them to axe their husbands or their abuser in their life, you know, without others knowing, become suspicious. And then we have 200 years later in the future, or like nowadays, there is a woman who is dealing with some issues with her own marriage. She finds a vial on the river Thames that connects back to this lost apothecary. She wanted to be a historian when she was younger, and so she gets really involved in this and tries to figure out the mystery and the story of what happened to this apothecary. And the young girl in the past timeline, Eliza, is, like I said, she is basically the apprentice to this apothecary, and I loved her so much. Like, every time she was around, I smile. Like, she would also work, I guess, for a naive character, because she's, again, not naive, but innocent, you know? Just, oh, my heart. I loved her character so, so much. And she just made me smile. Every time she was on page, I was just smiling. So that is what I'm choosing for that prompt. Then we have number 9, Rowlf the Dog. Name a character that's laid back and copes with the chaos around them. This is one that I had the most absolute difficult time. Did I say that correctly? The absolute most difficult time. Anyways, trying to find one, because I'm like, I don't read books with laid back characters. I read thrillers. Yeah, I read fantasy too, but like trying to think of, okay, what's the last fantasy I read that had a laid back character? I'm like, I don't stinking know. So I ended up going with Murderbot by Martha Wells. I feel like Murderbot is pretty chill. Like, he's just kind of like, oh, stuff is going on again. I guess I gotta go save the humans. And what Murderbot is, it's about a murder bot, right? They were created for certain thing and they're being kind of repurposed to like serve humans. Well, he has hacked his system and he is kind of like sentient, and all he wants to do is stay on the ship and watch his soap operas all day. But he has to go and pretend that he is still chipped, I guess, and help these scientists go when they travel to different planets. It's sci-fi. We hear his inner monologue and he is so funny. Like, I really enjoy the Murderbot series. I think I'm like at book 4 maybe. They're like little novellas, just really enjoyable. And I would say of all I could think of, like, he's not just like 100% laid back, like carefree, whatever, but I feel like a lot of times he's just like, well, this is just how it is, and I'm just gonna have to do it, and it's just, I'm just gonna have to help these people again. And he's very just like roll with the punches kind of character, and it's just like, okay, let me get this done so I can go back and watch my soaps. It's very, very funny. So yeah, I would say that he is the best one that I could personally think of that would fit this prompt. And then the last one, number 10, is The Muppets. Name a book with a great found family. Oh man, if I'm gonna say a great found family, maybe, again, Stormlight Archives would work for this. The Bridge Crew. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, almost forgot his name, would also be a great one. The Fossil Hunter. The Fossil Hunter would work for that because there's a bit of found family in Millie, the young girl, and the Winstanley. Agatha? Anitha? I can't remember her name. Mrs. Winstanley. They kind of become a found family. So there's a few options for a found family. So the last thing to do is tag some people. And I don't know who's done this yet or not. So if you've already done it, if I've taken you, I'm so sorry. You don't have to worry about doing it again. If I don't tag you and you want to do it, please do this. But let me know down in the comments that you're going to so I can go watch your video, because I'd love to know what your answers are. Oh, let's see. Who can I tag? I'm trying to think of people that do tag videos too. So I think I would like to tag Chrissy from Chrissy's Purple Library, if you have not done this yet. Also Nala. I'm curious what your answers would be. I don't know if you're a Muppet fan, but I am curious. From Here There Be Stories, Nala from Here There Be Stories. I'll go tag you, because I think you'd have some interesting answers to this tag. And is there anybody else that I can think of off the top of my head? Maybe Sarah Hart's Books? I'll tag you too. I don't know if you do tags. I can't really remember if you do tags or not. If you don't, no worries. If you do, then feel free to do this one. I'd like to know what all of your guys' answers are. If you want to leave answers down in the comments below, that's fine too. Let me know all the things, guys. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already. I would love to have you be a part of this growing community. If you have made it to the end of this video, want to leave a comment to let me know you were here but have nothing else to say, I don't think there's like a Muppet, emoji. So if there's any kind of like doll or puppet or like marionette type emoji, you can leave that. If there's none of those, leave an orange emoji, like an actual fruit, an orange fruit. I just saw like there's an orange on my bag that's sitting over there, so like that's why I thought about it. Nothing to do with this tag, but like if you can't find a marionette puppet thing, in orange. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I very much appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.